Do you ever get that itch to know what it feels like to play a C6 Alhaitham, but you are strapped for cash? You don't got the thousands of followers, nor the months of willpower to accrue enough intertwined fates to get a C6 Alhaitham because you believe in the mantra of just pull. Okay, then hear me the frick out then. What if I told you you can get to that same playstyle, but with a C0 Alhaitham instead? Look, I swear this works. It makes sense. It's definitely not copium. It's definitely not because my dad left me alone with my sister and how my dad was eloping and engaging in all kinds of messed up acts with my own sibling, my dad's own offspring, and how I wished I was my sister instead. Well, then you are in luck. This is a break from all that Day of Doom posting that's probably flooding your timeline right now, because in this video I will tell you just how you can play your C0 Alhaitham like he's C6. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening YouTube, it's your Slime King Dejima Man and welcome to another video. So C6 Alhaitham enables you to use his burst with 3 mirrors and still get 3 mirrors back, unlike C0 that just consumes all mirrors, leaving you with none. Just like that time my dad bought some milk only for me to find out that he was secretly farming breast milk from my prostitutes because he wants to feed them to my sister. I don't know if there's any correlation with mirrors and Alhaitham with that, but God, I wish I was my sister. Aside from that, you also get some crit damage, crit rate, if you have 3 mirrors. So overall, it's more uptime, more damage from burst and skill, but his constellations don't really mean that much unless you really just want more damage. But in this game where Hyper Bloom goddamn exists, where literally the sperm seeds of those bloom cores deal 35k a pop, it reminds me of my father popping into my sister every night as I cry myself to sleep, wishing that was me instead. Now that we know what his C6 does, let me present to you the one thing that will change everything. Just like how my father... You know what? I'm not going to go there. Alright, so the real big deal of C6 for Alhaitham is that it enables him to become a more viable option in quick swap teams. The damage is whatever is expected, but what I look for in constellations is if I can actually get a change in playstyle in a meaningful way. I talked about it in one of my other videos, feel free to check it out. So, what C6 actually brings to the table is allowing Alhaitham to start off with his burst while still maintaining his Dendro infusion uptime, unlike how my father failed to bring prostitute milk on the dinner table and instead brought it to my sister's bedside instead. And just like fate, it seems it was predestined, preordained from the start. You can achieve that change in playstyle quite easily. No, it's not an artifact set. No, it's not even his earlier constellations. It's actually just a plain old sacrificial sword, a weapon that resets Alhaitham's skill upon skill impact. It's a weapon made perfectly to imitate, but not copy what a C6 Alhaitham brings to the table. Just like how I want to imitate my sister's moans, but there's no one there to plow me. The pleasure of the moans sound the same as I remember, but where are those that give pleasure by plowing me? As you can see, my rotations for Alhaitham in this team start off with skill plunge to burst while still having enough Dendro uptime to keep proccing Hyper Blooms. In a Hyper Bloom team, the majority of the damage comes from your Electro unit anyway, so reducing your Alhaitham's damage doesn't really result in as much of a DPS loss as you might think despite using a sacrificial sword. But is it copium? Why yes, of course it is. As copium as it is that I want my father to come back to my home and envelop me in his loving arms. In his loving embrace, as he slowly unfastens his belt, he cradles my fragile arms and slowly suggests to swirl my hands around his mushroom tip. Like a helicopter taking flight, I was his wings and he was about to fly into my skies. It's a fun playstyle, not optimal, not the most damage, but if you've ever wondered what it feels like to play him in a more C6 playstyle sans the increased damage, this is it. The damage doesn't matter. I don't condone going for cons if all you want is more damage, because you don't actually need it in this game. And while Alhaitham C6 does change a few things about his playstyle, you can actually just try that out with Sac Sword instead. Gives you an extra E charge, more ER, and of course C6 would still be better because you get more damage, more uptime, because when you scale Plunge Burst, you can only have a maximum of 2 mirror uptimes with a Sac Sword. But that's besides the point. Just like how my sister despises our father for all the things he has done to her, and I'm like, girl, do you know how lucky you are? That's besides the point. If you thought we were done, no, we are not. Since we've enabled Alhaitham's burst playstyle with Sacrificial Sword, then it's only natural to play him in a mono Dendro team. Okay, I may not have been thinking straight as I was thinking up the makeup of this team. This is an all Dendro team, so there's no reactions to speak of. What the frick am I gonna do if I can't spread? That's exactly the same line I would never say if I was my sister instead. If you haven't guessed it by now, yes, Sacrificial Sac Sword. If you haven't guessed it by now, yes, Sacrificial Sword Alhaitham is pretty copium, but it's fun. At a certain point, you don't really care about damage. You don't really care about the fastest runs anymore. And especially with C0 Alhaitham and Hyperbloom teams, you are not speedrunning anyway, so you might as well change up the playstyle and have a little bit of fun in the process. And if you haven't guessed it by now, yes, my father is Alhaitham and my sister is Naida. Slime King, Twitch, Discord, Celebratory Jackie.